Welcome back, YouTube. We're back with the 318 on this fine Saturday morning, and we got a lot of plans for today. So, as far as getting stuff done, we got a bunch of stuff still on the to-do list. But also, if you noticed, if you follow me on Instagram yesterday, I made a story and said, "Send me your questions," and these questions involve just like anything really. Could be funny, could be serious, could be satirical. But that being said, I asked you guys to send me and John some questions for us to answer together on the channel. I just thought it would be a fun idea, and it would give us a chance to test out these new mics. And yeah. But as far as progress for the 318 goes, I'd like to get the oil pump filled with some Ultra Slick today, get it primed, get the oil pump on, or not the oil pump, the oil pan on. I'd like to get the fuel pump on this thing and then drop the heads on induction combo because it's sitting right there on the table, ready to go, ready to get dropped on next to me. So we can make a lot of big progress today. And then after that, I'm waiting for a rocker shaft still. But if you watch my TikTok, you saw that I got push rods. So we're not waiting on those anymore. And then I ordered valve covers yesterday as well. So that being said, we got a lot of stuff to do. So let's get to it. Why don't we? All right. So starting off, we'll go ahead and pop this cap off the oil pump. And then we'll go ahead and just dump some Ultra Slick in there, as well as in the timing set. So that way we can get this all nicely lubricated and primed.
So the way you want to do this is basically turning your oil pump while putting Ultra Slick in it and priming and getting a bunch of oil on the actual gears themselves, because when you start it for the first time, you don't want these gears to be dry. It could cause premature wear and metal shavings in your oil system, and nobody
wants that.
Nobody wants that.
Okay, so we'll lift the cap off here. Well, yep, that's an oil pump. All right, so now I've got an Allen drive. It's like a 6 or a 7. I don't know what that is. Like size wise for Allens, but it's either one of those. And so what you'll do, you go under here, and you can shove it up through the bottom of your.
Basically, he's using that as a fake distributor to drive the oil pump as I'm putting Ultra Slick.
This is really hard to do upside down. Can you spin it? Can we have it like sideways?
Send it. You know where it's at.
Hold on. Yeah, but like you can't see it. Oh, I see the problem.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna work. Okay, so oil pump drive shaft priming idea is not gonna work, so we're just spinning it by hand now.
So basically, you're just gonna dump a little bit of Ultra Slick in each hole as it goes around, and this way, when you start your engine up for the first time, you're not pumping it dry.
Hell yeah. And then after he's done with this, we'll go ahead and douse some Ultra Slick on the timing set as well to ensure that that is nice and lubricated.
Once we get our oil pan ready to go in.
Yep.
All right.
Cool. So oil pump nice and primed. Now we could start reassembling this.
Dumping Ultra Slick out of the bottom now, probably.
Yeah. It'll be fine.
And then before you go and put your oil pump cover back on, wipe any excess off the top, because it's not made to be seated against oil. It's just supposed to be metal on metal. And there's no gasket on this because it's machine surfaces, so there's no need for a gasket. Also, if you had a gasket, probably break down and get into your oil, which would be no good.
That would not work. Well, it would work, but probably not well. So anyway, all right, we'll start shoving these bolts back in this thing and get her tightened down. Okay, so before we even start anything else, I realize that we can cross a ton of stuff off our list here. So first up being, we can toss off timing cover seal, as well as timing cover that's on, as well as water pump. And right now, I think John is getting ready on this motor to get the oil pan going on. So he's getting all the surfaces, all the mating surfaces nice and brake clean, so we can throw our gasket on. So we'll get started doing that. right now. All right, so unfortunately, me and John kind of got caught up in what we were doing, and now the oil pan is torqued down. So what I'm gonna go do right now is I'm gonna go ahead and scrape all this like excess RTV off. That way, it's just a little bit cleaner. And then I think once we're done with that, I'm gonna go. We're gonna go to Napa, I think, because there's a new parts store in town, and get some oil because I need to start dumping my lifters in oil so that way they are ready to go in when the time comes, and get anything else we might need for the rest of the build today. So we're going to get started doing that. Yeah, I asked you guys to send us a bunch of questions that we can answer for you guys on the YouTube channel. And so we had about 8 questions come in. So starting off, from Roger Bingle, we have, what would your ideal dailyable truck be? How would it look, or like what would you do to it? And you go first.
If we're talking daily, I would totally uh, pick a 17 to 19 L5P Duramax, either single cab long or crew cab short. Not much done to it, just probably deleted and tuned, and because it's the daily.
Yeah, got to keep it chill.
Yeah.
I think as far as for me goes, I think I would probably choose like, I grew up in a 4th gen, so probably a 4th gen Cummins. I would probably also have it deleted and tuned, maybe with a 2nd gen manifold and like an S300 just for the sound. Just 'cause it's
Yeah,
cool.
just maybe a compound kit.
Yeah, maybe
big
like a
injectors
1,000 horse Cummins daily, and no, but all retrospect, probably pretty stock. Maybe just a fixed vane turbo or a fleece cheetah. That'd be cool.
Don't mod your daily.
Yeah, don't mod your daily. And I would really like it to be a G56 truck because I like driving manual. And then Laramie Longhorn would be cool. Have the nice interior and probably a crew cab short bed. No lift,
Yeah.
just leveled and some nice wheels. I think that'd make a cool dailyable truck. So
3rd gen didn't make the cut.
well, I mean, it's cool. It's just it's just not there. Next, we got from my boy Corey. He says buy and restore a fighter jet. I don't think our channel exactly has the budget to
I was gonna say I don't think we quite got the funds for that one, but
maybe in the future we can find an F-16 or something.
you. I don't get.
We'll get back to you on that one, Corey. But as far as that goes, from my boy Damien back home, he says how to do a 90-day inspection for a Freightliner Cascadia. Do you?
That's all you, big
that's
dog.
all me. But to be honest, I don't want to get into it, dude. I maybe remember half of the inspection sheet. So I miss you guys at New Edge, though. Shout out New Edge Diesels in Atwater, California. Great team of guys over there, and they're doing good. So my boy Logan, he says, what's the net worth of the channel or of each of us? Because the channel,
some time, just say negative.
Yeah, not in the positives range, buddy. I'm sorry. But next question from my boy Nick Fiskus. He says, when did you find a love for working on tractors, trucks, cars, etc.? For me, it goes back to a lot of my family members. My dad Eddie, Fast Eddie's the go. He had a bunch of trucks going up, and I always saw a lot of tractors when I was a little kid, and I always knew I wanted to either drive them or operate or work on them. And frankly, I chose to work on them. It might have been a bad decision, but I don't know. And then my uncle Steve, especially, rest in peace. He was super big in getting to me into cars, as well as my grandpa and some of my family members, my uncles. So they definitely pushed me towards cars, and maybe I invested in that a little too hard, and now I'm broke, but that's okay. It's been a lot of fun, and yeah. What about you?
Say like tractors is just easy because I grew up on a farm, always working on stuff. I'd say kind of started with my brother, just working on like our 4-wheelers and dirt bikes and stuff, and then he got his first truck, which was pretty rough, and we fixed it up. My oldest brother had a '84 Monte Carlo, or still does, SS. So that was always fun. He'd take us for rides with that. Then my dad and my uncles, all had 2nd gen Camaros back in the day. My dad's was a '79 Z28 with a supposedly stock 350 that they put a 671 supercharger on, and it's stuck to the hood with 2 carbs. And so seeing pictures of that,
there's a picture of that. We could probably flash it up on screen
yeah,
in post, but yeah, that thing is cool.
just like seeing pictures of stuff like that, and then just me and my brothers messing around with stuff, I think was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But if you don't know how to work on stuff, just go on YouTube. I mean, there's so much stuff and content
Dude,
on there
for
about
sure.
how
Like,
to learn to work on things.
I agree. And I mean, to be honest, we're doing it out of my like little 4 drawer box, like with like the most minimal amount of tools possible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really just got to get out there and start doing it. Like you're going to make mistakes, you're going to mess stuff up, but it's all in the process of learning. Like don't get it twisted. Me and John are not perfect at doing this stuff.
No,
We're just having a good time.
this is just fun.
Yeah, we like doing it. Like, so if you're scared about, trying to work on your car, I mean, start with the basics, like, know how to like do an oil change, or what else, like, change an air filter and like simple stuff, and then like get good at those, learn more, on and on, talk to people. One thing I would say is that I learn a lot from like older people that just know shit. So like, I mean, yeah, dude, Ponch, the guy that John got all of his 400 parts from, like they know more than they've probably forgotten more than we'll ever know
Yeah.
about literally anything mechanical. So
Yeah,
definitely
start with something simple, work up to drum brakes. That should be your last thing.
dude, drum brakes. I still have yet to do a set of drum brakes on a car. On a semi, sure, but
I'd rather do something like this than work on drum brakes.
yeah, honestly, man. I can't stand drum brakes. Okay. So next question, from Logan. He says, "What the truck sound like?" Not quite sure what truck you're talking about, but John's truck sounds like this. Yeah, and then my truck, my 6.7, sounds like this.
This one we don't know.
Yeah, this one might
We'll
sound
find
like,
out. Yeah,
or it might sound really cool.
blow up.
Yeah, I hope not. From Michael J. Gross, a fellow Dort student, what is your dream project car? You could start. I got to think about
Well,
it.
I'd say so. What I'm building my 406 for would be a second gen Camaro, because like I kind of talked about, my dad and uncles had one or a couple of them. I'd love to buy a 79 Z28. If not that, like a 68 Chevelle, something along those lines, big body GM car. But if we're talking trucks, I'd love to build another OBS and put an LB7 Duramax in it.
That'd be badass.
I'd love to
We've
do that
actually
swap.
talked about that so much.
I almost committed to doing that with my 6.5, but I stuck it out for the 6.5. And
if you guys haven't seen that, please, dude, check out his YouTube, like that, or not his YouTube, his TikTok. That thing is sick. It is a cool truck, and
it's fun.
I honestly, I didn't really like it too much. Like I thought it was cool in the beginning, and then once we built it, it was like, oh wow, this thing's actually
It's just
it's
unique.
unique. It's interesting.
Nobody has them really, and when they do, they don't mod them, which is for a reason. But I wanted to do something different, and my brother had a 6.5 growing up that he had a very similar setup on, and it was super fun growing up in that truck. So I had a lot of memories with ones that were, turned up and big turbos on them and stuff like that. So I kind of thought it was cool to build one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, dang, as far as my dream project car, I have a lot. I got a bunch of projects at home, and when I go home for my nearest or my soonest break from school, I'll probably do a video and showcase the Blue Dodge and the international project that I haven't shown on YouTube, but that's definitely one of them. But one thing I've talked about a lot recently is building another small block, like a 340, or even like a Mopar 3D3 for a Dart, specifically like a 60s Dart, a swinger, and just making that like a really rowdy street car. My uncle Jimmy has a 60 something, I believe it's a 69 Super B, and I've like really fallen in love with those cars because those things are sweet. So maybe one day I'll build like a cornet or a Super Bee or a dart. But as far
I think
as
like a dart sport
a,
would be
a
sick.
dart sport would be sweet. I mean, we were just watching Stay Tuned's video on that last night. I think it was
Yeah,
sweet. But
those are cool.
yeah, as far as like a dream project car, I grew up absolutely loving Super Bees, and yeah, they're a Super Bee or a dart. I think as far as obtainability goes, within the next what like 10 years, because probably not going to do that anytime soon. Probably a dart, because Super Bees are hard to come by and they're really expensive when you do. So, all right.
So our last question here we got is, why can't Josh keep a girl? Have anything to do with stuff like this?
It might.
The 5 projects in the
Oh
yard,
man,
and
dude. They probably see my bat. I don't think it's me personally. I think I'm great. But I think it more has to do with my irresponsible financial investments. And what do you think about that?
man, I don't know.
I'll say you're still friends with me, but I don't know. Anyways, let's forget about that. Thank you all for sending us some questions. And as you can see behind us, oil pans on the 318. It was really stressful, and we had to get it done quickly because RTV was setting. So it didn't really get filmed, but basically,
we just had to do something while this RTV was getting tacky, which it still isn't quite. So we're gonna wait about 10 more minutes and then go down and in a rotational sequence and get it torqued down, and then
yep.
we'll start working on the top end.
Yeah, dude, I'm ready to drop these heads on this thing finally. So
Sounds good.
yeah, dude. I appreciate all you guys for sending us questions. And yeah, thank you for sending in questions. Thank you guys for watching. And if you want to see more of like just some chill chatting content or whatever, just kind of yapping and whatnot, send some more questions. We'll probably do this again in the future because it's pretty fun seeing these questions come in and laughing at them before we even talk about them. So yeah, thanks guys. We'll hop back into 318 build right about now. All right, guys. We just got back from the parts store. We ran and got some oil for this thing. So we got the pan on. The pan is on and torqued. Really didn't film too much of that. It was just like how to get it done. Like a kind of constrained amount of time. Couldn't really like bounce back and forth with one of us doing it and then filming. It was just not going to work. So that being said, we've got our new flat habit lifters, and I'm going to start dropping them in oil, getting them soaking. And then from there, I'm going to drop the oil pump drive shaft in, make sure that thing is activated, because it's kind of hard to tell with these small block Mopars whether or not the the oil pump drive is working or engaged with the oil pump. So we'll get that taken care of. And then finally, we'll start getting the heads slapped on today, because that's really the next step. Actually, the fuel pump's got to go on as well. I'll probably do the fuel pump before the heads because a little bit easier. Get that out of the way. That way, the front of the motor is pretty much done. I got a new balancer. We'll toss a new balancer on the thing. So, yeah, that being said, let's come over here, grab our big box of oil. Got some Pennzoil 10W40 non-synthetic. We got all the dinosaur bones in these things. So, we'll do. Grab our box here. Make sure you guys can see this a little bit. We got a little Tupperware container. And we got a box full of Summit Racing lifters. Take them out. Oh, yeah. All right, so going to start by opening this bag up. I don't know why I grabbed a pair of pliers. There's a razor blade right here. All right, open the bag up. Just drop our lifters in the box. Just like that, all right. First bag of lifters. Open up our second bag here with the razor blade. And then can grab the next bunch of our flat tappet lifters. So we're going to have these soaking for a couple days before I get them installed. So probably no intake manifold today, but I mean, maybe. It's not recommended to have the lifters sit for a short amount of time. So I kind of want to just like not rush it. I would rather just do it right the first time there's going to be other days I'll get to work on this, that's for sure. So go and open up our 10W40. Okay, and then we'll just start pouring oil on these things. Put our lid back on. We're just going to let our lifter soak in there for a little while I get to working on other things. So let's move on to the next bit of business, which is going to be putting the oil pump drive shaft in. I got to do a little bit of research before I drop that thing in. So that being said, I'll catch you guys when I'm ready to drop that thing in. So we're going to do that right now. All right, guys. So I found some pretty crucial information to installing this oil pump drive shaft. Here, I'll go ahead and point it out on the camera to you guys. So if you look down in there, you can see that gear right next to the camshaft. That is the oil pump drive shaft. So I learned a couple things while you about installing this. So first thing is I'll actually get it out because I just got it in, and it only took me a few minutes to figure this out. But to get it out, you can usually do this with the intake manifold on, but we don't have that obviously. So you can grab the inside where the distributor rides and kind of just on the gear. It's not a big problem with some needle nose pliers, some long ones, and then from there you can pull the gear up out of there. So down in there, there's a bushing with some grooves on it, and then all the way in the bottom, there's a little hex drive, and that's the oil pump drive. So to get one of these in, you can drop it on in here, just like so. And then you should kind of just like fall into the gear slot here and go in. Sometimes it don't. So it will fall into place because it's an Allen key. Obviously, it's going to have opposite edges and stuff. So it'll fall into place once it finds the drive on the bottom, which is on the oil pump. So sometimes you kind of just got to like mess with it a little bit. One thing I was doing is I had a screwdriver and I was kind of just turning it, waiting for it to fall in. So, yep, there it is. As you can see there, it fell down in there. So let's go ahead and grab our flashlight again, which I misplaced literally 2 seconds ago somewhere. So let me go ahead and find that. All right, found our flashlight. So if you look down in there, you can see that's all the way in. And if you look close enough, you can see that little gold spot. It's the bushing. If you could look down at like kind of my angle of this focus camera, you can kind of see it. But the important part is that the bottom of the gear is riding on the bushing. So that thing is fully installed in there, and it's on the oil pump. So that's how we know that that thing is installed. So now that we got that out of the way, we can go ahead and start putting the fuel pump on, which is right here. So we'll get our nice Edelbrock high performance, high volume fuel pump, get our gasket, and slap that thing on there. Let's do it. All right, so right here we got our Edelbrock high performance fuel pump. It pushes like 6 psi of fuel. It's mechanical still, obviously. And Edelbrock is kind enough to send you some hardware with this fuel pump as well as a gasket. So here is the pump itself. Got the long neck, just like the stock factory fuel pump. So we can go ahead and throw it on with this nice new Edelbrock gasket from Edelbrock, as well as the hardware that it comes with. So got two, I believe, which are 3/8 bolts with some flange on them, I guess. So this should be pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Go ahead and get this thing slapped on. All right, so after a little bit of research, I learned that it's okay to put just a little bit of RTV on this gasket right here. A lot of old dudes on forums are saying to use just like a small film on each side of the gasket, so pump side and engine side or timing cover side. So we'll go ahead and lay a little bit of RTV on here, and then put the gasket on, put a little bit on the gasket, and we'll go ahead and slap it on the motor and get her torqued down. So you'll get back to me guys when I'm done putting some RTV on this. Okay, so we got our pump ready to go. We have got our bolts through this gasket as well as got some RTV on it, and now we're gonna go ahead and just stab it in here and run these bolts in a little bit, get them started. Okay, that one seems to be started okay. Okay, and I'm doing the bolts before I seat the oil pump just so it's a little bit easier for the pump to ride. Kind of just get on there nice. You know, I'm not forcing nothing. There we go. Get our pump in now. Okay, go ahead and grab our 1/2 inch socket, which I believe is the right size. It is not. It is a 9/16. I'm missing like so many sockets, guys. It's not even funny. You guys want to get me anything for Christmas, please? I need more sockets. It's getting bad. So, okay, get that just started. This one as well. Just spin the bolts down in there. Okay, grab our ratchet. You get it a little bit tighter, or at least a little more seated. Seated. It is on some lock washers, so if you're installing one of these yourself, be wary that it's not going to have like the right torque all the way off rip, because you do have to press through these lock washers in order for it to kind of stay how you want it. So we've got our fuel pump installed though, so that's good. With the RTV set, go ahead and snug it down just a little bit more. I don't want to do too much because I don't want to, go past the torque spec on this thing or anything like that. But I do need to get past the lock washers. I'm not quite sure why lock washers was the hardware of choice when it came to this, but I'm not Edelbrock, and I'm not really going to question it because they did send me a pretty nice oil pump. So just going to install it like they want me to. So right now we are getting past the lock washers, and the bolt is finally flattening into the timing cover. So right about there, I'll leave it just how it is. That's pretty much perfect. Let the RTV set a little bit, come back after like 10 minutes and torque it down. But I think the next thing we can do is actually I want to see if I can get the lifters on while the heads are, or the lifters in while the heads are on this motor. That way I can start finally getting the top end on this thing. So yeah, let's do that. All right, guys, check this out. So I just did some digging. I found a forum, and on this forum, a guy posted that you can download an entire service manual for all A-body Mopar cars that includes 318 engines in those cars. And I just downloaded the entire service manual from 69 onto my computer. So now I can search through here and find all the torque specs I need, and finally stop using and searching forums for hours and using ChatGPT to find it for me. So that being said, I'm going to look through this service manual and try and find the correct torque spec for the fuel pump bolts. That way we can get that all installed. Let's do it. All right, so after digging through the manuals, I found that it says the fuel pump attaching bolt torque spec is 30 foot-pounds, which seems like a lot for this aluminum timing cover. So I think I'm going to start by tightening to 5 foot-pounds and then to 10, and then kind of go from there just to gauge it. That way I'm not over-tightening and stripping all the aluminum in this timing cover, because these timing covers are high-key hard to find, and I don't want to get another or take this one off. So that being said, let's get started. I'll rig you guys up in the tripod, and we'll go ahead and get this thing tightened. All right, so like I said, we're gonna start by tightening it to 5-ish foot-pounds. I'll probably start with 7, just to get her down. Now that the RTV is a little bit hardened, so we get our torque wrench here, get her set up, turn it on, and yeah. So I got, like I said before, got this thing nice and locked down with the lock washer. So we got 7 foot-pounds on here. So we'll go ahead and just get her tightened. There's 7. It's another 7. So that seemed okay. It seemed like there was definitely still some more to give there. So we'll go ahead and go to 10 here. There's 10. There's another 10. That still feels okay. It's just kind of scary, with these aluminum timing covers. I really don't want to strip it out. Go ahead and take her to 15. And I'll probably, I don't want to go to 15. It started getting tight at 12. So I think we're just going to go to like 13 and just leave it at that. There's 13 on this one and 13 on that one. We're going to go ahead and call it there, because it's honestly really hard to find this torque spec, because a lot of the fuel pumps are off not on the block, or not on the timing cover. Some of them are on the block. So especially for like the big blocks and 426s, 440s, 33s, they're not on the timing cover, I don't believe. And so that's kind of where at least like the 30 foot-pounds. But that's for tightening an iron surface, and I really just don't feel comfortable tightening just down to the timing cover super hard. So I think I'm good at 13. If anybody knows what the actual torque spec is, let me know and I could still tighten this later. But yeah, now that the fuel pump's installed, we can finally start getting the heads on this thing, getting this thing nice and dialed in. So let's do that. All right, so now we got the fuel pump installed, we can finally start cleaning up our head deck surface and get some penetrating oil in all these cylinders just to make sure they're clean of any debris. As you can see, John has professionally started the harmonic balancer. So we'll get an installer tool and get that nice and installed. So we'll do that later. But as of right now, the deck is pretty much ready to go. Just got to get cleaned up. So probably throw in a time lapse and do that real quick. All right, so as far as tool usage goes, I've got a can of penetrating oil and a can of brake clean and a barrel of rag. So we'll get started and get this thing cleaned up. Let's do it. All right, guys. So John said he needed a win today, and
Josh has been having way too many cool parts. I finally just decided I was going to throw the heads that I may or may not use, just set them on so I could set my new intake on my valve covers and my carb. The intake I've gone through, it's completely cleaned up. It is a air gap performer dual plane intake. This is a 670 Holley Street Avenger carb, Cal Custom finned valve covers. These are heads that are basically like the cast iron version of Josh's performance heads. They're just old school race heads. Still may or may not use those.
Pretty badass. I will say they're pretty rare.
But I just wanted to throw it all together because I needed to see it. Josh has been having way too many wins lately, throwing his stuff on, and having, a sick looking engine.
Hell yeah.
So I needed to see what mine could look like.
Yeah, I think it looks cool. Here, y'all can check it out real quick. All right, YouTube, before we start putting the heads on, we got the heads chilling here. We're going to get them cleaned up with some brake cleaner rag, and then we're going to slap them on the motor. We already got the head gaskets on. That whole situation was kind of weird because they don't have any markings on them. One side is like printed and the other side is nothing. So we were concerned whether or not they had a direction to go, and they don't. So 318 LA head gaskets are unidirectional. But if you do get head gaskets that say like front or back or left bank, definitely follow those because they actually do mean something. But on my engine, it just doesn't. So not a big problem. We're going to get those heads cleaned up, and you'll catch us back when we are throwing the heads on this motor. Let's do it. All right, everybody, we got the heads ready to go. So now we're just going to get them dropped on here. Fucking
what they say about big valves, big reliefs.
Is that what they say?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Is it on there?
Well, that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching the YouTube channel. All right. In all seriousness, now we got these heads just set on here. We'll get the ARP hardware ready to go. Start shoving them in there. Get our head bolt torquing sequence and torque them down to 100 foot-pounds. And that is going to be where we call it for the heads side of things. Earlier, John got these spark plugs installed, as you might see. So this thing's looking good. It's coming together. Hell yeah. All right, everybody. So we got our ARP hardware here. Per ARP instruction, we've got the head bolts here, and from shipping, they have this protective coating on them. So you're going to want to brake clean and rag and get this all cleaned up, all that protective coating off. They do recommend you definitely should be using the ARP assembly lubricant they send you when you install these. So before we even start hucking stuff on here, gonna get these cleaned up. So catch you when we're done with that. So obviously we've got a 318 small block LA Mopar, and that is very much known on the channel. We've got these two longer head bolts, which are for this raised bolt surface on the head. As you can see, these are lower, and this one is higher, this one's lower, and this one's lower. That being said, there should be 4 of these long bolts in that ARP box. However, there are only 2. You might be wondering, why is that? So the reason for that is because, what's up everybody, Editor Josh here. So after the whole head bolt conundrum and I thought that they were for a wedge motor, I learned that pretty much all aftermarket aluminum head setups, whether it's from Promax, Edelbrock, like the Performer heads, I'm pretty sure, but for sure Promax heads and Speedmaster heads, they have bigger exhaust ports on their aluminum castings, which means that you need the 2 longer head bolts per head, and that the wedge heads are not specifically needing those 2 long head bolts. So that being said, I was wrong in the video. Take it with a grain of salt, but that's why there's a random cutout here to this video. So anyways, keep watching, it gets better. That being said, we unfortunately have to stop with the head installation today, which really sucks. I really wanted to get these on, especially because now that the gasket's on and the head's on, I kind of need to install it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean up 2 of my old head bolts as good as I can. Just get it not even hand tight, just like on the head. That way it's not flying off, in case it gets jostled around or something. I don't know how that would happen, but in case, I just want to be safe. These are expensive engine parts. I don't want to ruin them. So that being said, we have to stop on the head installation for today. So as far as everything else goes, I believe we can still throw on the harmonic balancer and get that done today, that John professionally started. So we'll get that finished up, and I think that's what we're probably going to call it for today's video. But unfortunate news. So sorry you guys don't get to see that get bolted on today, but in the future it will be. So yeah, let's get to it. Womp womp. All right, everybody. So now that that bombshell has, or that bomb has dropped on this operation today, made a lot of progress. However, all of that progress is about to be stunted as I wait probably another month for head bolts. So this sucks. This is like the whole piston ring compressor deal that happened with John, except we can't fix it in a night. So that being said, I'm glad we did make a ton of progress. We got a lot of stuff done. We have actually narrowed down the cardboard list quite a bit today, I'd say. So why don't we go over there and start crossing some stuff off to make myself feel better about this absolute atrocity that has occurred on the engine build today. All right, everybody, so we got the build sheet here. So starting off, we can cross off fuel pump seal, fuel pump. Let's go down. I guess we can cross off head gaskets. That's done. We can cross off plugs. Already did that. We can cross off harmonic balancer. We're not going to do that. Oil pump drive shaft. Cross that off. And I added something on the list, if you can see it at the bottom there. It says wait a month for head bolts with a sad face, because this is a sad moment for the channel, because now I'm probably not going to be able to make a video for like a little bit. It'll be a while though, but either way, sad day. Not really though. Good day, I'd say. We got a lot of shit done. I mean stuff, but mildly unfortunate turn of events for the channel today. Really wish that those were not wedge head bolts, because then we could like basically have the heads on today and just be really done with that and move on to bigger and better things, like putting my induction combo on, which I might just do anyway right now, because I have not seen it like completely put. Let's do that right now. Why don't we? I need a win. Come here, Mr. Induction Combo. Wow, that looks really cool. I am aware that this air filter is way too short. I'm getting another, but damn, that looks cool. I'm really messing with this red orange paint. You know what I'm not messing with though? My lack of correct head bolts. But I don't want to stay on that for too long, or else I might start crying and punching my ARP box of bolts that I have to send back because they're not correct. But anyway, um, I guess that's what we'll end it for today. I appreciate you all for tuning in as always. Thank you guys for watching. Next video hopefully will be installing the head bolts all the way on this thing. So that being said, thank you as always. I appreciate each and every single one of you for watching the channel. Thank you for sending us questions to answer. If you'd like us to do something like that again, let me know in the comments. Let me know anywhere really, because I actually enjoyed doing that, and I think John did too. It was fun. It was a nice little break in our day while with our TV sets on the pan. And yeah, that being said, thank you guys for watching. Have a good one, and we will freaking see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.